Brothers and sisters, this video that you are about to encounter, this is another conversation that I had with Christian Zebarth. I love to have him on the program occasionally, along with others. He has many faith-promoting experiences. He journaled throughout his life, and unfortunately, wasn't valiant to that all my life. I love people that have journaled, that kept notes. I'm thankful for people like Christian Zebarth, and he has this amazing ability to gather data on anything that I want to talk about, and I'm grateful for him. So he will come on the program occasionally, but here's what I'd like to share with you about what you are about to encounter. We are going to dive deep into the heart of prophecy, revelation, and the electrifying mission of gathering Israel, but we're not going to get into detail about gathering Israel. What I'm saying is that is President Nelson's message, amongst other things that we heard in conference, like the keys of the priesthood, keeping covenants, temples, Elijah, Elias, and the covenant with Abraham. It has been his message. And what's clear is that many prophets throughout the dispensation have been known for different things. But this prophet in particular is known for, if you go and you do the bookend thing, right? And you look at types and shadows, even from Joseph Smith, President Russell M. Nelson is teaching everything, like everything that his whole prophetic utterances have been about, has been the narrative of the prophet Joseph's mortal life, what he put emphasis on. So what we're doing is we're unpacking the powerful words of President Boyde K. Packer. Christian kept notes on that, and we're exploring how Elder Packer's words might just be the key to understanding President Nelson's prophetic messages about gathering Israel and everything else that Joseph Smith taught. Could it be that Joseph Smith himself is guiding this work, this great work, from beyond the veil? We'll explore the thrilling possibilities that there is proof that Joseph came to all the prophets of this dispensation and has guided them from beyond the veil. So brothers and sisters, please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and prepare to be inspired. This is one episode you do not want to miss. So join us as we witness with Christian the hand of the Lord moving in these latter days. Stay tuned for the full video. It has been dropped. You are watching it now. Prepare to have your mind blown away spiritually. Hello, Christian Zebarth. Wouldn't you want a bit? But the Zebarth bar. Wouldn't you want to be? What I wouldn't do for Klondike bar. And then I changed it to Zebarth bar because Zebarth sounds like a candy bar. You should have been the next Willie Zebarth instead of a Wonka bar.
Get the Wonka hat.
Okay. Welcome to the program, Christian. It's just been, hey, you're wearing the same shirt you wore last time. That's incredible.
Yeah, I can be like that.
And you've got those bunnies behind you, that evil bunny looking at me like it wants to jump through the screen. All right. So what are we talking about today, my friend?
We're goofing around here.
Let me bring up something. Which letter do I go to first?
So it starts with this dear venerable prophet.
Okay, so we're bringing this up because from conference, we kind of tied. I was talking about. I made a video. Let me see. What was the name of the video? Let me look it up just real quick. The name of the video was Joseph's Instruction, Invoking Joseph. Basically, that President Nelson, I know all the prophets have talked about many things, right? But this is different because Spencer W. Kimball, he wasn't known for talking about the keys of the priesthood or gathering Israel. He was known for lengthen your stride. Ezra Tabb Pinson was known for the Book of Mormon, right? And waking up to your awful situation. Howard W. Hunter was known for, what was Howard W. Hunter known for? I can't remember. Gordon B. Hinckley was known for temples. He was a temple builder. He did many temples. So so every prophet had something. Monson was the chair, the visit the widows, and the lonely and the downtrodden.
He was all about service to others.
Yes. President Nelson is teaching the same things that Joseph Smith, what his whole life was about. Gathering Israel, the keys of the priesthood, making covenants, keeping covenants, the spirit, Elijah, Elias, Abraham, the Abrahamic covenant, the gathering of Israel. I said that already. The lost tribes, the keys, all of that. Did I leave anything out? Oh, Joseph Smith, he tried to teach people how to, he always taught people by the Spirit how to receive personal revelation. Yeah, that's what the Book of Commandments and the Doctrine and Covenants, which was the Book of Commandments, those are all revelations on, we learned from him how to receive personal revelation. And what is President Nelson saying? So I made a video, and I think that even Christian, now that I think about, not Christian, Jared from Christian Homestead made something about, the bookends. This was also a bookend video where types and shadows, right? Symbology from the past, from antiquity, repeating itself. I'm doing a video tomorrow about the angel Moroni going back on the temple. It's interesting. So
well, you know what? I did, when the text of the conference hit the Gospel Library app, I did a search on the word angels just within the conference from last weekend, or just over a week ago. I thought it was going to be something like 8 or 9 references, but it turned out that in the April 2024 conference, there were 27 references to angel or angels.
Wow.
27.
Wow.
And they were in the bookend talks with the first one by President Holland, he mentioned angels. And the last one by President Nelson, he mentioned angels.
And it's not just about angels and that's it. It's about angels doing work, angels helping us. The gospel is all about work. You can hear about angels and nice angel stories and people, the veil being thin, but it's all for a purpose, right? And this kind of the reason. So let's go to your first letter and you tell me how this ties into conference.
Well, I saw this video here of yours, Joseph's instructions, and I think in that video you had some art, possibly AI generated, of Joseph Smith.
Yeah, it was kind of bad though. Their hands looked deformed, but it's okay.
Sometimes it's like 6 fingers or 4 fingers. Yeah, yeah. But it made me think of this quote by Boyde K. Packer from when he spoke at the funeral in 1994 of Ezra Taft Benson. So let's go to, that's like the middle part of the quote. That's it. That's the beginning of it.
Right here?
Well, yeah, that's the beginning of the quote.
Or right here?
Back one.
Okay, go ahead.
Right here. You want to start reading it?
Sure. This dear... Oh, go ahead. You read it.
This dear, venerable prophet has now entered in to rejoice with his beloved Flora and other family, there to converse with Joseph and Brigham and John and Wilford and the others. The prophets who preceded him, ancient and modern, have on occasion communed, it's the one other one, right there, with servants of the Lord on earth. So past leaders, both ancient and modern, have communed with servants of the Lord on earth.
Okay, stop right there. Stop right there just for a second. And the reason you sent me these letters is because I said in my video, it almost feels like is President Nelson being visited by Joseph Smith? Is he instructing him to talk about these things? to put emphasis on them again, because the winding up scene is winding up, and we're coming to the end of days and in this last dispensation. So that's why you sent it to me. And what I learned from you in this letter, which you're going to continue to read, is that all prophets have received instruction from Joseph. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So what you were saying definitely made me think of this thing. And I had written this down in 1994 when I was watching.
Yeah, that's neat. I saw sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but the 1993 Franklin Quest Company.
Yeah, I wrote it on note paper of my Franklin planner. Yeah. So it well may be that we have not seen the last of this great prophet of God. And then the one other part from my Franklin planner notes there.
So that was Boyde K. Packer in an address at a funeral of Ezra Taft Benson.
Yeah. And then I think I had taped it and rewound it to get one more part. Yep, that's it. This is the final part of the quote that pertains to our current discussion. I testify that the veil between this mortal realm and the spirit world opens to such revelation and visitation, right there, and visitation as the needs of the church and kingdom may require. I bear witness that he, President Benson, was a prophet of God, that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, that the gospel of Jesus Christ is true, and that this true servant now takes his hand and enters in.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
That is beautiful. So I might not be far off. Maybe I am picking up on something that could be happening. Not just me. I don't think I'm the only one that puts those together and goes, wait a minute. You want to know what Joseph Smith was talking about? Watch President Nelson. He's mirroring Joseph Smith's life and what he pontificated about.
Yeah.
Because if you read the quotes by President Nelson, I was doing this the other day, and you read quotes by the prophet Joseph Smith, you can mix them up and you don't even know who said what. Serious.
They're both speaking by the power of the Spirit.
Let me give you an example, but go ahead and talk if you want to more. I'm sorry. Let me look this up.
Well, while you're looking it up, I might read this quote from President Benson. And the reason I thought of this quote is because it goes right along concept-wise with what we've been talking about, but it also has wording that's similar to what President Nelson has used. People talk about how President Nelson says the gathering of Israel goes on both sides of the veil. And whenever you do anything for anybody on either side of the veil, dot, dot, dot.
Right.
Here I found a quote by President Benson that it's expressing very much the same thought concept as President Nelson, and also similar thought concept to what Boyde K. Packer had said later on at his funeral. So the quick quote from President Benson, and then this can segue into your thing. He said, the spirit world is not far away. Our work is all one great program on both sides of the veil. Sometimes the veil between this life and the life beyond becomes very thin. This I know. Our loved ones who have passed on are not far from us.
Yeah, I love that one. I love that. That's Brigham Young. That was Brigham Young, right?
That was a President Benson quote.
I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It sounded like a Brigham Young quote from Teachings of the Presidents of the Church.
I think Young. There was one like that in there.
Let me. That's neat. Okay, now let's play a little game real quick, and I'll be tricky. You ready?
Okay.
You tell me if this is President Benson or Joseph Smith. I teach them correct. Nelson? Yeah, or I mean, what did I say?
You said Benson.
No. Okay, sorry. You tell me if this is Joseph Smith or President Nelson, Russell M. Nelson.
The first one's Joseph.
Yeah, I know. but you didn't let me finish it.
Go on.
Actually, it'll be too easy. But I think my point is that you could see President Nelson saying these things
Yeah.
like happiness is the object and design of our existence.
Yeah.
Will be the end thereof. If we pursue the path, okay, envision in your mind's eye President Nelson's voice. You ready? This is Joseph Smith. Happiness is the object and design of our existence and will be the end thereof. If we pursue the path that leads to it, and this path is virtue, uprightness, faithfulness, holiness, and keeping all the commandments of God. That's exactly something that President Nelson would say.
Yeah.
And then somebody goes, duh, right? That's what all the prophets would say. Well, the prophets do have they have their own style of talking, but I see very similarities. The best way to obtain truth and wisdom is not to ask from books, but to go to God in prayer and obtain divine teaching. Mm-hmm. Now, we know that's Joseph Smith because it's kind of hard to get. I thought I could play a game, but I guess I can't because a lot of the things that a lot of his quotes sound like something someone from the 19th century would say about books, because books were the neatest thing back then. But you understand, for instance, President Nelson, you could hear Joseph Smith saying this. Pray to have eyes to see God's hand in your life and in the world around you. Ask him to tell you if he is really there. If he knows you, ask him how he feels about you, and then listen. Joseph Smith, and if he and Joseph Smith were having lunch together, that would be an amazing conversation. Or if one of them was standing next to the other and the other one said that, there wouldn't be much difference. If we were in the presence of the prophet Joseph Smith, he would agree with everything we are saying because we're bearing testimony by the Holy Ghost, right? And what we talked about now, is there any more? I'm sorry. Am I just hogging up the conversation?
No, I get what you're saying. We get this spiritual feast at General Conference, and as we go through it and reread and re-listen to these talks, it will ring bells about things that we've read from Joseph Smith and Brigham Young and President Benson and so forth and so on.
Because the Spirit's the same. And this goes back to the Beyond the Veil talks. This goes back to the angel talks. I mean, everything was heavenly. It was veil thinning pontification. It was about keeping covenants. It wasn't so much about making covenants, though, was it?
More about keeping.
It was more directed to us. And I'm noticing that there's more.
If you've made covenants in the temple to wear your garments, then commit to this covenant you made.
But what I'm saying is there wasn't a lot of talks to like investigator or people that are investigating the church. I have a hard time saying friends because friends means something different to me. I still call them investigators, but they are friends of ours. But it wasn't so much about making covenants. It was about keeping covenants. This conference was directed to us that have made covenants in the temple. I know that. It wasn't even directed. Well, there was a couple talks to the youth, but here's the thing that I gleaned from this the most is that we need to keep our covenants. And not only that, Christian, not only that, but also that it wasn't just about keeping covenants, but it's about gathering Israel on the other side of the veil, but not so much. I didn't hear a lot about missionary work. I didn't hear a lot about, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't about new people coming into the Christ. Are we getting, so my question to you is, do you think we're getting to the point where we need to focus on gathering Israel in the temple more than anywhere?
I do. And I think that there's, I know for, a lot of my time growing up, we would listen to conference and be like, "Oh, there wasn't any deep stuff taught." Of course, there was here and there, absolutely just a lot of good teaching. But it was in this conference a week ago. We actually had the first counselor in the General Relief Society presidency speaking several times about deep doctrine and symbols, and tying that in with our covenants, and tying it in with keeping our covenants.
Absolutely. Isn't that amazing? And was she the same one that kind of got berated by a bunch of feminists inundating the thread in the women's conference? Was that her?
Yep, that was her. And then she ended up speaking, like 2 weeks later or whatever in general conference.
And didn't capitulate, did she? She didn't placate at all.
Correct.
Anything else?
I mean, we had an example of a woman doing a great job teaching the gospel, and when that happens, then you get people upset that she's doing it.
Right. I know. Isn't that funny? Women should be allowed to teach the gospel. Oh, you mean what this woman's doing? Yeah, but she needs to stop. Why?
Yeah.
Because it's not true. But we're supporting people that, but we want women to have the chance to do what we don't want them to do.
But it's showing that they are going to have an increased role in teaching the gospel and spreading the gospel, and that we all have more to learn, and that we can learn more. We don't leave the milk, but we go on to the meat. We learn more, and that increases our spiritual capacity, our obedience to the commandments, continuing to walk down the covenant path.
Absolutely. That's good stuff. And she was a prophetess. That was a prophetess move right there.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Christian.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you, everyone.